so much has changed in the last just couple of weeks. You got a new name for Facebook, obviously making this big bet. You've got Microsoft making its big bet on the metaverse. Do you see this as a world where, just one or two companies will own it, or is it going to be much bigger than that?
It's going to be so much larger than that. I mean, we can look at the internet as an example. The digital economy is assumed to be roughly 18 to 20% of the world economy at $87 trillion. The truth of the matter is the big five tech companies, historically considered GAFAM, though of course Facebook has changed its name, was only 10% of that digital economy. It depended on myriad different developers, semiconductor, compute, networking, and other infrastructure and optimization companies. The metaverse will be similar.
Can Facebook, though, build a competitive platform that younger users want to join and be part of? Can they get beyond these reputational issues and trust issues?
Can they? Certainly. We're looking at a company that is spending perhaps more on this area than anyone else on Earth, has a founder in control with extraordinary conviction, and 3 billion monthly active users, 2 billion daily active users. It's very difficult to say that they can't solve that sort of problem, but that doesn't mean it's going to be easy. In particular, Facebook has a bad reputation that spans roughly a decade with developers. Ultimately, developers are going to build the metaverse. Developers are going to be required to attract users, and that requires a skill set that Facebook historically has not thrived in.
Well, now you see Facebook and Microsoft and even Amazon, all of these big tech companies talking about the metaverse. Is this just going to be a place where big tech companies just get bigger, or are there going to be upstarts and new players that can sort of take on the companies that own the internet right now?
Conventional wisdom would suggest that we're going to see some of today's leaders thrive in the next generation internet or the metaverse, but in particular, we'll see new companies come to the forefront. Consensus was that AT&T and AOL would lead in the internet era, that Microsoft's advantages would endure. And in fact, none of that happened. When we take a look at the current state of the metaverse, some of the thriving companies today have sub $50 billion market caps, and a year and a half ago were sub 5. Epic Games, Unity, Roblox, which absolutely blew it out of the park today in earnings. Those companies have a lot of headroom in front of them, and they have many different capabilities that today's tech giants do not.
Here's a question that just came in over IB. Are we going to be talking about multiple metaverses in a few years, or is there just one?
It's a bit of a taxonomy question. Most people believe that the answer is that the metaverse is the definite article. Just like we don't say there are multiple internets, there's no Facebook internet, Google internet, there is the internet. That seems to be the most likely vision of the future for the metaverse, which, like the internet, is premised upon interoperability. But to some extent, that may just come down to how language is used. If we adopt metaverse as a platform-specific definition, then we'll end up with multiple metaverses. It's not really a question of verbiage.
Meantime, your Metaverse ETF has been on fire, and I'm sure that some of this news has helped. Talk to us about the future of where this is going as a bet for investors.
Sure. Well, Jensen Huang, the founder and CEO of NVIDIA, which of course popped more than 150 billion in market cap Friday and Monday, believes that the metaverse economy will exceed that of the physical world, again, 87 trillion. Even if you have more modest expectations, precedent from the digital economy, the internet, mobile internet, suggests that this is a $10 to $30 trillion opportunity that will manifest in a decade or a decade and a half. Our belief is that value will be widely distributed across the semis, the computes, the payment companies, virtual platforms, and other infrastructure providers. Our ETF is designed to provide a diversified portfolio of exposure to those opportunities, and we're delighted that investors have been so excited. We announced today that over 250 million in AUM has been amassed since June 30th, and today we saw another 3.5 million shares trade, a total of $50 million in value. Enthusiasm for the subject is only continuing to grow.
Meantime, I have to ask you about Roblox. I mean, they had this 72-hour-long outage where their entire, universe goes offline. Then they report these strong results. What does that tell you?
It tells me that this is a true secular and, most importantly, generational shift. If you go back to 2008, Facebook had 300 million MAUs. Today, Roblox has about 210 million MAUs, 47 million DAUs. That number is up 35% year over year against very challenging mid-pandemic comps. And despite that outage, we see significant growth. I believe, as do many others, that we're heading towards a future in which hundreds of millions, if billions of people around the world participate in these virtual worlds. And as a result, it doesn't matter if it's one company, one outage, a quarter in which kids are going more outside than ever or returning to work. This is a trend that is going to stay.
Netflix games, some movement on that over the last week as well. How optimistic are you, and who does this threaten?
Well, the truth of the matter is Netflix is an incredibly high-performing company that takes a very long time horizon to change. They launched their streaming platform in 2007. They launched their originals banner in 2009, commissioned their first series in 2011, aired it in 2013, and it wasn't until 2017 or 2018 that most of their spend was on originals. It's very clear that Reed Hastings knows how to execute, knows how to build new technical capabilities, and knows how to be judicious in his investments and his expansions. That, plus the fact that gaming is an ever-changing category, we're on the cusp of AR, VR, other mixed reality environments, tells me that they have the opportunity to thrive in this category, and they've committed themselves to achieving that over some time horizon.